Now, this, I would have rather had a little bit redder brown pencil than this. I'm not crazy about the black charcoal, but I'm going to make it work. Why? I'm afraid it's going to mix with my colors. It might get pulled into it. And muddy, yeah. I don't like using black, but I needed to do this so that everybody can see.
What would be the ideal?
A nice dark brown red, but the ones that I have in my new pastel, which is what I would draw with. I got some soft pastels that are okay. Some of these are harder than others. They just don't get into the tooth and they scratch your paper, actually. And I guess it depends on the pigment. Who knows what it depends on, but you know, every color is made with different, you need to just a little bit more like that. Every color is made with some different thing, you know, either a clay or a mineral, a vegetable. The quinacridines, I think, are made with something in a lab. I don't know how they're made, but I don't think they're mostly from nature. But they're beautiful, the new quinacridines. Okay, I think I'm going to start colorizing it. Let me just do a little bit of his hair back here because it's so cute. He's got a cute head of hair. Yeah. Now, of course, that doesn't look anything like him yet, but I could tell that it's going to start. It will start pretty soon. Now, here is the quandary. Which color to start with first? I think I will start with the dark. I look for the darkest of the darks. I'm not sure if that's the one I want. And always if you can, get a scrap piece so that you can experiment and see what colors they really are. Sometimes it's a little deceiving. Oh, see, I thought this was a green. It's more of a blue-green. It's hard to see in the light. I'm looking at the darkest darks, which is under his chin, around his eyes, under the nostril, the nose, and the corners of his lips, and right where top and bottom lip meets, and of course his hair. I don't want to start in the hair yet, but I want to get some nice deep shadows in there. And I think I'm going to start with his chin, just to get some nice green in there. Now, the green and red, most of you know, green and red make a rich brown. I could take a brown out of here and start drawing with it, but it doesn't behave right. If I add light to it, it ends up being pink. Then I have to add yellow. Then I have to add orange. But I find that if I mix greens and reds together, I get some really rich colors. And they don't die down on me. They don't get flat as I add white or a cream to them. They seem to come alive. And I think they come alive because it's almost like painting with oils, because the particles, they mix together. The looser they are, the more they mix, but you can layer and layer and still get some of that under coating of particles that you had in the beginning. And even if I put red over here, you'll see this color start coming to life. And a lot of times it's a surprise. You know, you have so many pastels, it's hard to remember which one you used whenever. I usually like to leave, if on the same portrait, I'll try to leave some of the same right here in front of me, but then eventually you get such a pile that you don't know what you have anyways. But at least for some of the basic shadows, I'll try to leave them right here. Otherwise, you won't remember. Now he's got a shadow under his bottom lip, a little bit, and his chin is in a little bit. His face actually comes a little bit more like this, so I might have to move his mouth over a little bit in the end, because his chin is going a little bit over to the right. Now, I like working with bright greens too and reds in faces. As you can see, I like to do Indian, so I play a lot with the rich red browns that I can get in green and red. And orange is a real good color to work with too. Now I'm looking at these vacant eyes here, and he looks like an alien. So I probably am going to have to make his eyes good because it's disturbing. I mean it. I mean, doesn't that look disturbing? It's not fun, and it makes me think this is the ugliest painting I've ever done. And right now it is. Your painting will go through ugly stages, but you have to keep at it until it's pretty. Some artists can start a portrait and it looks beautiful right away. Well, not me. Where are my forceps? Lost my forceps. Anybody see them? Here they are, right here. So now I want a red. I haven't used my pastels in a while, and I went over them, and I don't have a good red. This is I need a red like the Rembrandt, but I don't want to use the soft pastels yet. Let's see what I get with this red. Let's see if this is a better one right here. Some of these reds are a little pinky. Yeah, these are all right. All right, let's see what happens when I put the red on there. I'm probably going to need a little orange on that because that's pretty dark. Or light green, believe it or not. Looks like he's got 5 o'clock shadow. Let's use a light green or, yeah, this green and see what happens. Yeah, let's lighten it up a little bit. Now this would look very weird to you, but it will start coming to life. I think I'm going to use a lighter olive for some of his other shadows. Now I'm not using the very tip because usually I do use a tip and I go very gently and very slow, but for this portrait I have to hurry up a little bit. And we're going to take a break very shortly. I'm just trying to lay color on very fast. And a lot of shadows under his nose. Just a little. Good. That's it. Good boy. Nope, can't breathe. I'll take a little lime green under the nose, believe it or not. I want to get some nice color under there. And a little red. And a little, see, I'm already starting to build up colors over here. Once you start laying on color, it gets pretty exciting. Now I'm going to put a little orange on there. I've already smudged some of that black in places where I didn't want to smudge it. But here we go. I want to get that shadow right here. He's got a shadow that's diffusing as it goes down into his chest. Put a little orange on there. And I think I will use a little bit of this bright red. Hopefully I'll be able to go over it with my, yeah, see, that's a beautiful red. Wow. Whoops. Now, he's starting to take shape, even though, you know, he's still looking a bit like an alien. But I can tell this is going to be okay. Once I start laying on the lighter color on there and all those colors blend, it'll be like olivey porcelain. If there's such a thing. But I need his eyes to look at me, so I can't wait any longer for that. So I'm going to do the eyes right off. Now, I think I'll start with It's a little dark. I'll start with this gray here. The whites of the eyes are never pure white, at least not in portraits. Start with a little gray. Now, I'll probably find out soon that I have to reshape his eyes, but at least I'll have something looking at me that gets my mojo going. And the bottom line is, you've got to keep your inspiration up so that you could finish the darn thing. Otherwise, it's going to be another one under the bed and in the closet or on your shelf, which is like mine. I really need to relook at the ones that aren't finished and finish them. Now, when you're doing the eye, remember it is a ball. There's shadows. There's shadows under the top lid, a little shadow around here near the canthus, where that word I told you I just learned a couple of weeks ago. And his eyes are a blue-gray. Let's see, I'll start with, this is like a navy. You have to start with a dark color. And I'm going to leave a little space for a highlight, the lights in his eyes. And I'll have to reshape this. I'll probably have to go back a few times and reshape it. And I'm really anxious to see the pupil. The pupil really is the opening to the soul, and that's where all your information goes through the pupil into the back of the eye, and that's how we learn the world around us through our eyes. So this is very important. You can tell so much by a person's eyes. Another important part of the anatomy is the mouth. I seem to have the most trouble with the mouth. The nose doesn't go anyplace. When you smell, maybe it gets a little stretched, or if you frown, it closes up. But the mouth is always expressive. If you get one little corner wrong, you've changed the shadow, you've changed the expression. Mouth, and it's got so many different aspects of its anatomy. Some people have a little ridge here that is lighter than everything else, and it doesn't translate well in paint. That light ridge around the outside is very hard to do and make it not look like it's been just a white line drawn on. The anatomy in between the two lips, if you get that shadow wrong, you've changed the whole look of the face. So I think the mouth is the hardest thing. And for the mouth, I'm just going to pencil it in real quick. We're going to take a break in just a minute, just so I can at least get an idea where his mouth is going. And I'll finish the eyeball. I think I'm going to put a bright blue and tone it down. It's already got navy underneath it. Bright blue. And now I'll use a little olive to tone that down. Now I'm going to use a lighter blue. This is a gray blue. So you start with the darks, you overlay with lights. Now he's also got a dark ridge around the outside of his eye that I'll have to work on later. And it's too hard to leave a space for the highlight because I'm working in a small area. His eyes are small, but you can see it starting to come. Now I'm going to take a lighter blue, or you could use anything. Even let me try this. This might work. I like to use a slightly different color for the bottom of the iris where it lights up, and just to see what happens. Oh, I kind of like that. It's not realistic looking, but I like it. And his eyes need a lot of toning down yet. It still needs a lot of work. But just to give it some life, I'm going to take the Rembrandt and put a nice highlight on it. If I was using oils for this highlight, I would mix my oil paint, white, titanium white, with just a smidgen of yellow because it makes it a little more opaque and it seems to just pop right off the page. Okay, I'm just going to put a little bit of light here. And as soon as I put the light on, it seems like it starts coming to life. And I have it a little off on the left eye, but everything is subject to change. I'm going to try to move the pupil around a little bit with this, just to get it straight. And around the outside of the eye, I probably won't be able to accomplish this, but I'm going to try. With my pastel pencils, see what color I have here. Well, I'm going to try the darkest blue I have, which is this, I guess. And it's very hard to get pencil over looser charcoal, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to try to coax it, so just so I can get a dark outline to his eye. And it's working all right. And it's helpful, too, to have a shield, which I don't have with me right now. But, well, I don't want paper towels. I'll use this. Here we go. Dual purpose. Okay, your head's got to go. Okay, that's good. And this, got to come this way. And we need a little more eyeball showing over here. See, everything can be corrected. Everything can be corrected. And I'm just going to, just so that I can get that little canvas in there. Sometimes the pastel flies and it could make you cough. Yeah. Okay, now I gotta start. Let's see how, oh, those eyes still need a lot of work. Oh, it's, oh my gosh, it's 3:45. I think we're gonna have to skip the break because we only have about 15 minutes left. And on that note, I'm going to quickly make his eyes look a little better, and then I'm gonna start working on his skin. Sorry, folks, got caught up in it, and no time for a break. Well, it's hard on the model. You know, you try sitting there all this time like this. It's very hard. But I'm going to. Yeah. Are you getting tired, Noah? Sort of. Well, I'm going to go fast now and see how much I could get done. I told you this was going to be in the ugly stage, and it certainly is. But once you start adding a little bit of highlights here and there, now see I'm putting a little green over that red, toning that down real nice. And I'm just going to throw a highlight in because I can. It's a little early yet, but throw a highlight there and a little highlight here, and you see things just kind of starting to come alive. This is the last spot, you know, really the last part of it. But I'm doing this just for your enjoyment. And if you put a little highlight here, but you see how those highlights start to bring it out already, and just those. That's all I need to get me excited. And I am a cheap date. And I could get excited over this stuff. But now when I start putting the white on, and it'll be mixing with all those colors underneath, you'll see it starting to come alive. And usually I do it with strokes. I'm using the side because doing strokes would take too long. You'd be here until 7 o'clock. So, and this will help me determine whether I need even more of a underpainting. Because I didn't put a lot on here. I usually have most of the tooth covered. So I think I need a little more. I'm going to throw a little more orange on there. Right on top of the white. Hopefully it'll take it. Yeah, it takes it. And maybe a little pink, just around this area. And a little bit of lime green. But see all those colors? They're wonderful colors. Wonderful colors. Yep. I'm actually, you know, I've tried to, in the interest of time, I've taken some shortcuts trying to get his skin to look like skin. Whoops, you getting tired, huh, Noah? Yeah, you're doing good. But you'll see as this comes alive. See those skin tones, how beautiful? Even in the shadow here, that green, I love that green. I'll put a little more lime green there and a little more orange. And you'll start to see it come alive. Little orange down here. Noah, could you put your hand down, honey? A little more orange down here. And I'm going to take a little bit of this pinky color and try to get his lips a little more realistic. Now I don't have a lot of paint on here, or pastel on here. It's going to take a lot more pastel than this, but you got a little bit of a primer of how to get started with color. You just can't be afraid of it. Now I'm using a creamy white here, a little bit of a porcelain look. But you can see the skin is starting to look a little more like the skin color, a little luminescent, yep. And the eyes I really didn't mess with too much, and it needs a lot more work. But you can see the skin starting to come alive here. There's a lot more of this to do. His divot needs shadowing right here. Little shadow there. And his face is changing as we speak. But now I'm using a dark olive for some of those dark areas here. Lightening with light olive and then a little orange. And I'll get see that nice flesh tone I'm getting now? If you don't get it the first time around, just keep adding more. I know I need more orange here, maybe a little red. And don't be afraid of the red. Red looks great under a nose. And if it's too much, just add a little bit more of the white. His nose turns up a little bit, so that has to be indicated. But he's got a real strong highlight right here. Right here and right here. But you could see it starting to come to life now. And I hate to use a brown, but I need to take a shortcut to get it done.
Are you smearing it a little bit with the other pastel or your fingers?
Oh, I'm not using my fingers at all.
Okay.
No, if I use my fingers, see what happens? It gets, it's like mud. No, I don't like to use my fingers, but some artists do, and they get a good result. But I like the result of untouched particles. Now with these, yeah, this is starting to come now. Yep. And remember, this is very fast. if I was doing the portrait like this, you know, I'd be working on it all day and the next day and probably into the night, because I get carried away and I start having fun, and next thing I know, it's 2 in the morning. But just with a few little highlights, you can really make it come alive. Oh, we still have time. Good. I'd just like to get the mouth a little better here. And don't be afraid of color. If you pick up the wrong color, that's all right. Some of my favorite artists paint with all kinds of wild colors, and the colors don't make sense, but when you put the whole painting together, it looks wonderful. I don't know how they do that, but okay, Noah.
Muddy after, like how watercolors, it could be a problem.
No, as long as you keep hitting it with orange and lime green and bright colors, it really, it's very forgiving. It's very forgiving. It's when you get in black. If you get into the black, it can give you trouble. But, or the purpley reds. Now this red I'm not crazy about, but if I add a little orange to it, it's all right. And it'll give that part of his face a bit of a glow. Now like I mentioned, I would be using, just I wouldn't be using the flat of this. I'd be using it like a pencil, but I'm doing this fast in the interest of time. But you can see that it has a nice color there. And I'll put a little, orange is one of my favorite colors with portraits. You could, it's very forgiving. And as long as you keep mixing it with other bright colors, you could always add a lighter color over it and get the effect that you desire. Now I think I want a little of the Rembrandt red right here. I can see that it needs a little, hoping it would take it. That's a beautiful red. I might want to put that other places. And you could add a swatch of color here and there, and that is almost unrelated, and it would look beautiful. One of the gentlemen that I painted with in Connecticut, Christopher Zhang, he'd add just a spotch of green and a solid green here and there, and orange, and it just was so interesting to look at. I never tired of looking at his paintings. And so, little lavender around the eyes looks good too, because the tissue around the eyes are a different consistency than the rest. So if you put a little lavender here and there, it just makes it look more interesting.
Mrs. Burgarella,
Yes.
orange and lime green combination work well for acrylics as well.
The what?
Orange and lime green you mentioned for.
Yes, you can glaze them over each other. Yep, definitely. I'll be bringing in a cowboy that I'm finishing in acrylics, and I mixed a lot of those colors. I've got splotches of green in there. They're very interesting. Yes?
What are you using for the overlay color?
This is like a creamy, I don't know what the name of the color is, but it's a yellowy, creamy beige, very light. Well, it's like a light peach. Yeah, like a light peach. See, now I'm looking at the values in his face, and I see there's a light source right here coming and diffusing right under his eye there. These are things that you look at when you're almost finished, when you're putting the finishing touches on a painting. Right there is where there's a light. Now I'm using the Rembrandt for this highlight. And I just want a little more value over here. And I think I'm going to use a little bit of pink. His cheeks have a little bit of pink in them here. I want to get that in there. But see, you just throw the color on, and then you blend it. See that swatch of pink? Not that pretty, but once you blend it in, don't use your finger, just use this, and pull in all the other colors around it. It looks really pretty. It's a very pretty color. And I see that there's a really bright highlight right here. And I'm going to tone that down just a little bit and highlight here. Okay. Yeah, he's starting to come to life now. Starting to come to life. I'm going to tone his lips down just a little. I know you're getting impatient. It's almost over. Almost over. Now, I don't want to put white under the shadow. I want that shadow to stay rather pronounced, because that's an important part of it, the character of his face. So to blend that in is going to be a little tough. I think I need a darker shade here. But these are all decisions you make on the fly as you're looking at your subject. Want a little more red in there. But you see, I'm adding color almost like it's a oil or a paintbrush, and then just mixing it and seeing what happens.
I'm using oil pastels, and of course they don't blend as well either.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about the oil pastels. No, I tried them and I'm just don't like them. Yeah. He's got a little light here under his nose. Every little nuance matters when you're doing a painting. Okay. Well, folks, it's 4 o'clock. I'm just going to block in his hair. I'm just going to block in his. Now, this is what you have to watch out for. The black, I don't want the black mixing in, so I'm going to do this so that it falls down. So I have a start anyways. Now this is a dark green. And I'm going to just block in his hair real quick, just so I can frame his face a little bit. And if I come into his face a little bit, everything is repairable. Everything's repairable. And now that I have a photo, I didn't get a photo with the other two, and Penny's going to send me a photo, and I might be able to finish it. Pardon? You can go. I got to give you something. Wait a minute. I got to give you something. Hold on. I'll catch you in a minute, Noah.